Hi, I'm Christopher Hine. Today we're going to be talking about the Dori waza. So this wraps up our series on kumiuchi, which are the struggle methods found in Aikido. And the way I approach Aikido, those struggle methods are non-ideal things, right? And I think mostly that's what we see in Aikido are the kumiuchi because it's easy to see that. And it's a lot harder to talk about situational awareness and attention and all the other things that come into Aikido. Whereas the techniques are just kind of easy to see. So the kumiuchi series is the struggle methods. The Dori waza is the last one. This is not going to be a really long video. I'm going to basically explain the Dori waza, why we have the grabs and things that we have. And so Dori specifically means to seize something. So why we have the Dori waza we have. Should be a really short, simple video. And this will complete our section on the kumiuchi. Josh, let's go to work. All right, so let's talk about the Dori waza. This wraps up our kumiuchi series, which is our struggle method series. I think the do-dori, the Dori waza as a whole are very telling. The do-dori for me really helped me kind of put the last pieces of Aikido together, and the te-dori kind of got me started. So in lots of ways, the Dori waza bookends them, and let me explain what I'm saying. I break up Dori waza into two sections. One is te-dori, those are the hand grabs, and the other is do-dori, those are the body grabs. So the hand grabs are these, and the body grabs are anything that's on the body itself, right? So whether that's kata, ryo kata, mune, ere. So, and those names are just really simple names. Mune means chest, ere means collar, right? So this actually should be ushiro because it's the collar from behind. Your hands are just, whether your hands are straight across from your hand or diagonal across from your hand, right? Now, why those exist is really important because when you look at those grabs and you say, hey, here's the core attacks we have in Aikido, other martial arts that are grappling martial arts look at that and say those are ridiculous because there's nothing to those, right? So meaning that while you might see someone grab a wrist in wrestling, that wrist is a transitory position to get into a deeper hold, and the deeper hold holds them better. So one of the problems you have with any of the te-dori, the hand grabs, is that they do a bad job of controlling the body. So if I grab Josh's hand, everything else in Josh's body can move around, right? Now if I'm grappling with that, that means he can get a lot of power by moving the rest of his body to escape this hand hold, right? So it's really a poor hold. And in grappling styles, you'll see them using hip grabs, body grabs, leg grabs, because by controlling the core of his body, then I'm able to control him better. Now you might think that something like a mune dori then is a better hold because it's holding the core of his body, but the problem with mune dori is it's such a small grab, right? So that's nothing compared to me putting my whole body in here and grabbing with the entirety of my body. Now, for the hand grabs, we can instantly understand them by putting a knife in Josh's hand. So if there's a knife in Josh's hand like that, actually let me switch to the other hand, and I come in here and I grab Josh's body like this, you see I'm not controlling that hand. So even if I get a bear hug, he's still got a little bit of room in there, right? So, and that's the room I don't want. So all things will begin with controlling that weapon hand. So that's how I'm going to begin, is by controlling that weapon hand right here. And then will the crease and hold? Well, will the hold increase? It will if we're doing some jiu-jitsu style work, right? I would increase, but I always have to be holding on to this hand. Now this in the beginning, when I thought Aikido was a kind of Japanese jiu-jitsu, forced me to kind of make a set of clinches that were our additional grabs that we had, and I'll put a picture of them on here so you can see them. But I created a set of additional clinches that you need. And those clinches are just how you would hold the hand while moving around the body. So when something like Ushiro Kubishime, when you look at this kind of grab, oh, this suddenly starts to make sense as to why you're holding their hand while you're choking them, because I have to check this weapon. And there's a set of those that go all the way around the body, and I outline them. And when I was looking at Aikido's jiu-jitsu system, that was one of the real confusing things to me, because I was like, it has to have these kinds of holds, and the fact that no Aikido style talks about holds that look like this, or not any style that I had discovered, then it's silly that these don't exist. But when you look at it as the guy with the weapon, the emphasis becomes on Josh being able to clear this as soon as possible, right? So if it gets into a deeper hold, well, that's beyond the martial art of Aikido. But at this beginning hold, now he needs to find some way to escape and then get his weapon back in the game. So it's very important for him that he master how to deal with hand grabs. Now for body grabs, look, this body grab doesn't secure me at all, or me from him stabbing me at all, right? So why would I use this? Now this makes sense because I'm stopping the weapon. But this kind of grab, or this kind of grab, or this kind of grab don't make any sense. Now I have two answers for this. One answer for this is, as you would see in Budo Rinshu, the first kind of collected work by Ueshiba. It's not exactly that he wrote it, although he did look it over and say, hey, yeah, this is the stuff we want. In that, you see lots of people grabbing and then coming in with an attack, right? So you see these kinds of situations, and you can understand how this could have some implication. While this is something useful, and when you get into jiu-jitsu stuff, you do want to understand how those work, and those are a part of the Aikido training we do here. Those are not really what we're looking at in Aikido. What we're looking at in Aikido is, even though he's stabbing me, if I can hold on to him long enough to slow him down while he's trying to get away from someone else, right? He's stabbing me, doesn't matter, because I'm holding him long enough for my buddy to come in and get him. So he has to master those quick body clears, right? And so that's why we have these kind of grabs. And those are the very things I would quickly snag if we were moving around, right? So if I'm running after Josh, and you're going to have to run slow, if I'm running after Josh and Josh is moving away there and I reach my hand out, you can see I get caught the Dori, right? So if I just try to grab his sleeve here, I get caught the Dori, okay? If Josh is turned around from me and running, I have to grab his collar up here, there's Ere Dori, right? So there's where Ere Dori comes from, right? If Josh is moving to the side and my hand sneaks out, bang, and I grab him, Mune Dori here. Okay? If he shoots out to the side and I miss the Mune Dori, I grab here, and that's going to force me to come around and get a deeper control here in Ushiro Ryo Kata Dori, right? From Ushiro Ryo Kata Dori, if he wanted to stab me back here, right? So he starts stabbing me and I can't quite save myself, I'm going to want to check that hand. And we get this Tate Dori with a not as great grab here. So what would I do? I'd probably increase that grab to something like this. Okay? If he were to switch hands here and come back to get me, I can check this back side. So we can see by putting a weapon in his hand and thinking of a context where we're moving around as fast as possible, these are the essential holds we have to learn to escape. If the holds get deeper than this, it's a system beyond Aikido, just like boxing doesn't look at headlocks or double leg takedowns, because that's beyond that system. If you want to learn something more than that, go study another system. So if you want to get good at jiu-jitsu, study jiu-jitsu. It's a perfectly good system that's there to use, whether Japanese or modern style jiu-jitsu. It's a perfectly good system. But Aikido is teaching you to stay autonomous as long as possible. So that's why we have the holds that we have. Now, also included in my approach to Dori waza is weapon taking. The weapon taking also is a little bit of a weird caveat though, because we're going to use the previous kumiuchi to do the weapon taking. There's not a lot of special extra moves. We're either going to use some part of the nage waza or some part of the kyo waza in order to escape. So meaning if I take this out of Josh's hand, now strictly speaking, that's a Dori waza, it's a tanto Dori. I took the knife from Josh, I seized the knife from Josh, but I used a nikyo to do that, right? So we do include the actual specific weapon taking in Dori waza, but it's a little bit of a trick because all that exists in the other parts of kumiuchi, all the tools we're going to use to do that. So this is an overview of how I look at Dori waza and why the Dori waza has to exist in Aikido and why it's contextually appropriate to the context I put on Aikido. That I think is its natural context. Anyways, that is it for this Kumiuchi series. We're going to get to some different stuff after this. We're going to keep making weekly videos for you guys. Appreciate your patronage. Thank you very much. This is Joshua Teehee. Maya Solano McDaniel is behind the camera, and I'm Christopher Hine. Thank you for watching.